Hey everyone! So today I want to talk about something I've heard countless times from parents, usually said, with this very particular mixture of frustration and fear in their voice. It goes something like, "My son is in high school now, but honestly, he still acts like he's 12. He doesn't take anything seriously. His teachers keep hinting that he's behind other kids his age, and I'm terrified. What if he never grows up? What if I've somehow messed this up?" If that's you right now, I want you to just breathe for a second. Because this conversation isn't really about whether your son is immature. It's about something much deeper than that. It's about fear, about trust, about control, and about what actually helps a young person grow into the adult they're becoming. So let's talk about it. Here's a story I hear in different versions all the time. I'm going to composite it from several families I've worked with. A mother reaches out and says something like this: "My son just started high school, freshman year, and he's silly. He jokes around constantly. He doesn't seem to care about grades. When I try to talk to him about college, he just shrugs. His homeroom teacher pulled me aside and said he seems less mature than the other students. And I just felt this wave of shame. Like everyone can see that I've failed, that I didn't prepare him. And now I'm terrified that if I don't do something right now, he's going to fall so far behind that he'll never catch up." Let's just pause right there. Notice what's happening emotionally in that story. On the surface, she's worried about her son's maturity level. But underneath that, she's terrified about his entire future. And even deeper than that, she's afraid that she has failed him somehow. That distinction, that matters a lot. Okay, so let's start with something grounded in actual developmental science. The teenage brain, especially in boys, is still very much under construction. The prefrontal cortex, which is basically the part of your brain that handles planning, impulse control, thinking about consequences, assessing risk, and generally being a responsible adult, doesn't finish developing until somewhere in the mid-20s. So when your 14-year-old seems completely unrealistic about the future, when he cares more about his friends than his GPA, when he seems utterly unserious about life, that might not be pathology. It might just be development. Now, I'm not saying everything is fine no matter what. That's not what I'm saying at all. There's a real difference between normal developmental immaturity and behavior that's actually dangerous. If your teen is getting into violence, abusing substances, engaging in criminal activity, or showing severe mental health symptoms that requires real intervention, that's not what we're talking about here. But being goofy, unfocused, wildly optimistic to the point where you want to shake him and say, "Do you understand how the world works?" That's often just part of the process. Sometimes what looks like immaturity is actually just unfinished wiring. Here's where things get a little more nuanced. Because the bigger danger, in my experience, is not actually teenage immaturity. It's parental anxiety turning into control. When a parent starts thinking things like, "He's behind. He's not like the other kids. He's going to ruin his future if I don't fix this." That anxiety doesn't just stay inside your head. It leaks out. It shows up in your tone of voice, in your facial expressions, in the way you compare him to his cousin who's so responsible. In these little moments of disappointment that you think you're hiding, but you're really not. And teenagers, they are exquisitely sensitive to that energy. When a teenager feels like he's constantly being evaluated, rather than trusted, two things tend to happen. One, withdrawal. Why even try? I'm never going to measure up anyway. Or two, rebellion. Oh, you think I'm irresponsible? Let me show you what irresponsible actually looks like. Either way, the relationship starts to crack. And here's the paradox that I think is really important to understand. The more a parent tries to tighten control out of fear, the more the teenager's internal compass weakens. Because autonomy, the ability to self-regulate and make your own decisions, doesn't develop through pressure. It develops through trust. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I'm only doing this because I love him. And that's true. I believe you. But here's the tricky thing about love. It can unintentionally turn into surveillance. Here's a reframe that I think is powerful, Love that ignores the other person's autonomy eventually stops feeling like love to them. It starts feeling like confinement. Think about your own life for a second. If someone constantly corrected you, constantly managed you, constantly told you what you should be doing differently, all for your own good, would you feel supported? Or would you feel suffocated? Teenagers need three basic psychological nutrients to develop well. This comes from research in self-determination theory, and the three things are autonomy, the feeling that they have some say in their own life; competence, the experience of getting better at things through their own effort; and connection, feeling genuinely seen and valued, not just evaluated. When fear drives parenting, autonomy gets squeezed first. And without autonomy, competence doesn't get a chance to develop. So instead of saying, "there's nothing wrong," which might feel dishonest, or saying, "there's something deeply wrong," which creates panic, try this frame instead. He is in process, not broken, not finished, in process. That shifts your internal stance from fixing to witnessing. Now here's the second shift, and this one might feel counterintuitive. Instead of trying to fix him, work on strengthening yourself. Ask yourself, am I speaking right now from fear or from steadiness? Am I reacting or am I responding? Because here's the thing. The most stabilizing force in a teenager's life is not constant advice. It's a regulated adult nervous system. When you are calm, clear, and consistent, your teenager actually borrows your stability. They co-regulate with you. But when you're anxious and controlling, they feel that instability and it makes them more dysregulated, not less. Okay, so let's get practical. Here are three concrete things you can try. 1. The 10-second pause. Before you correct your teenager, before you jump in with advice, just pause for 10 seconds and ask yourself, is this about safety or is this about my anxiety? If it's genuinely about safety or serious harm, yes, intervene. But if it's about your anxiety, your discomfort, your fear of what other people think, step back. 2. Scheduled listening time. Once a week, create 20 minutes where your only job is to listen. No fixing, no correcting, no advice unless they specifically ask for it. Just presence. Teenagers talk when they feel safe, not when they feel judged. 3. Clear but minimal boundaries. Make trust the default setting. Intervene only for things that actually matter. Safety, harm to self, or others, or serious irresponsibility. Let the minor stuff play out. Because struggle, appropriate struggle, is how competence develops. Now if your fear keeps coming back, even after all of this, I want you to know, don't shame yourself for that. Fear is just love trying to protect, but it needs direction. So channel it into things like therapy for yourself if that feels right, parenting education or support groups, self-regulation practices, meditation, whatever helps you come back to center. And honestly, building your own life outside of your child's outcomes. Because here's a hard truth. A parent whose entire identity and sense of worth rests on their child's success will feel constant panic. Your child should be an important part of your life, but they shouldn't be the entire container of your worth. Now, before I close, I want to say something really important. This perspective, this way of thinking, it's something I'm offering for your reflection, for you to sit with and see if it fits your situation. But here's what I've learned. If you try to force this mindset onto other people, especially onto other parents who are in the thick of their own fear and worry, it's probably going to backfire. People have to arrive at trust in their own time. You can't argue someone into being less anxious. It doesn't work that way. So if this resonates with you, beautiful, use it. But please don't weaponize it against other parents who are doing their best in a different way. We're all just trying to figure this out. And one last thing. Everything I've shared here is my personal perspective, based on years of observation and experience, but it is not professional medical or psychological advice. If you or your teenager are struggling with serious mental health concerns, behavioral issues, or you just need support, please reach out to a qualified therapist or counselor in your area. This video is meant to offer perspective, not replace real professional care. If your teenage son seems immature, remember this. He is not a finished product. He is becoming. Your job is not to sculpt every detail of who he's going to be. Your job is to be steady enough that he can grow safely beside you. Trust doesn't mean ignoring real problems. It means believing that growth is possible. And often the fastest way to help a teenager mature is to stop treating him like he's already failing. Thank you for being here. If this resonated with you, feel free to share it with another parent who might need to hear it. You're not alone in this, and neither is your son.